What's going on, everyone? How are we doing? Welcome to today's special guest event here. I have some movers and shakers. Mike and Nora here with AssumeList. Pretty cool stuff they got going on here. And they're going to share with us a lot about what's going on and a little sneak peek preview. They're going to be local in California soon to meet you guys in person. Good deal. Mike and Nora, how are we doing? What's going on?
We're doing fantastic. Yeah, thanks for the great introduction. We're super excited to be here today, as always, with our lab coat agent partners and friends. Lot moving in the industry right now, and certainly a lot on our plate in terms of our services and offerings, and how we help agents around the country. We are continuing to grow. I assume most folks on the call have heard of us or are familiar with Assumable Mortgages. We'll certainly go into in greater detail what we do and how we help agents grow their businesses. We just launched, we're in the process this week. We're launching in the state of Hawaii, which has been a really big move for us. And we're launching and moving and expanding into other markets in other states. Northern New Jersey is another market we're looking to grow into, and other parts of some other states. So if anybody has any specific questions, we can certainly answer those. Really, we want to focus. I want to get Nora here on the call to start talking through really some of the cool things that we're working on, some processes that we've refined to really have proven to help agents really be successful in this market with elevated interest rates, with buyers who are looking for hacks, looking for opportunities to purchase homes with low rate mortgages. I myself am a licensed agent. I have closed over 25 assumable homes this year so far. About half of my business is tied to doing assumable mortgages, which is really, really powerful when you think about it. You can double your business if you were to participate in this niche, this niche area of real estate, and we want to share that with you and teach you how to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our head of education, head of training, Miss Nora Simpson, who has really developed a lot of these amazing techniques that are working across the country in agents in every market, in every state. So Nora, please take it away.
I'm taking it away, Mike. Thanks so much. Great to be here with both of you. I'm so excited to share hey, Crystal, that's right. We're in Hawaii. Hawaii, first of all, just news of AssumeList. We are now in 25 states. 25! Half the country! Roar! So we're really excited. We're specific in Hawaii. We're very specifically focused on Honolulu because Honolulu is where the military base is. And so a lot of our assumable mortgages are going to be around that Honolulu area. We've got a ton of VA, but we've also got a fair number of FHA. So don't discount your FHA. And remember that both regular veterans with VA entitlement can do assumptions, and buyers without any affiliation with the military can assume VA mortgages and FHA mortgages. And just to give some stats, Mike was saying 2025 assumptions this year, but Mike and his amazing wife Bethany and their team have closed a total of 38 assumptions in the last 2 years and counting. At my last count, I think you guys had 9 more under contract.
We're still doing it. Yep.
I know. Right. And it's new ones every day. We close and then the next one goes under contract. So today we're going to talk about the fastest way to close assumptions. And it does require a bit of strategy upfront. But if you implement these simple but particular strategies from the get-go, you will be able to have assumptions be a very realistic experience for your marketplace. You'll be able to close multiple assumptions. It won't be like, oh yeah, I've got that one assumption that takes 8 months and then I've got the rest of my business. That's not what we want for you. And that's not what our founding team of AssumeList has experienced. Our founding team of AssumeList is able to close assumptions in 30 to 60 days. And we want to teach you how to do the same. So the first thing I want to say about this is that I lead a training 5 days a week at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I talk about this stuff every single day. It's a very free form question and answer. There's no canned material. So as soon as you sign up for AssumeList, and even before you sign up for AssumeList, you can join us on our live training 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're there 365 days a year. We're there, except for weekends, of course. And Mike, we can hear you typing. Sorry, StreamYard does this.
I'm trying to reply to some of the questions. Go ahead, keep going.
Oh, it's all good. No, you remember when I was on the StreamYard the other day with a different podcast, and you could hear me typing and clicking, right? But in any event, so we are here to support you every step of the way, but I really want to give you the quick and dirty way to do this in the fastest, most streamlined capacity possible. And what's cool about it is that it's this process of getting your buyer prepped, getting your mindset prepped, getting everything kind of lined up and ready to go that actually helps you grow your business, grow your capacity, grow all of the numbers you're trying to grow for your real estate business. So let's break it down, okay? First, I'm always going to repeat myself every time I talk to real estate agents about this. If you call everyone you know and say, I can give you a free buyer sub account on this amazing website called AssumeList. Oh, that's me. Hi. I can give you a free buyer sub account on this amazing website called AssumeList. I'll speak into the camera. And I can help you find a mortgage that is below 5%. I can help you get to a finish line, right? That where you've bought a home and you have a blended rate or a final rate of 3.5%, 4%, 5%, 4.5%. And for some people with a lot of cash, it can be 2.5% or 3%, right? So you are the first person that is saying these words to 99.9% of the people listening to you talk about this. I want you to understand how under diffused the knowledge about assumptions is in the marketplace. So I just want to remind you that when you sign up for AssumeList, we encourage you to call everyone you know. We encourage you to, advertise the fact that you have access to this tremendous amount of education and resources and process through AssumeList. And this is a relatively new thing. We have 2 new offers we want to extend to you guys. One is anyone who signs up for an AssumeList as a paid AssumeList subscription as a paid subscriber can have a free webinar with me and them. So if Mike was a brand new agent and Mike was like, hey, I want to call everyone I know and tell them about assumptions, but I don't really know what to say, I would say to Mike, actually, all you have to do is call everyone you know and invite them to a webinar that you and I schedule, right? And the webinar might be, I don't know, like September 6th at 6 p.m. local time for Mike, right? So on September 6th at 6 p.m., Mike and I are going to do a webinar for all of Mike's friends who've never heard anything about assumptions, right? And I'm going to be there going, I know Mike is brand new to the industry, but you got to listen to him. He knows more about assumptions than anyone else you'll talk to in your world. And I'm the head of education for AssumeList, and I'm here to plug Mike, and he's amazing, and you should do business with him, and here's what AssumeList looks like, and here's how you guys can get low rate mortgages. And we would record that webinar. And then you, as the new subscriber agent, would have that webinar recording forever. So that's a way to promote yourself, to promote AssumeList, to promote assumptions as part of growing your business. And it's part of the neuroscience of sales strategies that I've been teaching for 16 years to thousands of real estate agents in all 50 states. So we've extended that offer to everyone. The other offer that I want to tell everybody about today is that if you get a buyer pre-approved with our #1 favorite preferred lender, whose name is Ryan Nelson, if you get a buyer just pre-approved with Ryan, you will get 1 free month of AssumeList.
Nice.
So we are very serious about giving you all the tools you need. Now,
and there was a question from Jesse about how do we cover the equity, right? And so that I just typed in a response. So one of the easiest ways to cover the cash gap is to work with a lender who specializes in issuing second mortgages that are specifically designed for assumable home purchases. So our lender partner, and we can certainly provide his contact information. Anybody wants it, just reach out to us. Issues a loan. It's called a purchase HELOC that allows the buyer to cover the cash gap if they don't have the entirety of the cash available, which in many cases, home is, equity is just has gotten so much, has grown so fast, so quickly And so Ryan will cover that cash gap through a second mortgage called a purchase HELOC at a very low competitive interest rate. And in most cases, the buyer will still end up with a blended rate, right? That rate between the assumable first mortgage and that second mortgage that they're taking out. And that blended rate will in many cases still be in the high threes or low to mid fours, which is still significant savings versus taking out a new loan today at 6.5%, 7%, whatever the rates happen to be the week that your buyer happens to be buying. So right now, 6.25%, 6.5%. So if they can take out a new loan, or if they can buy a home with an assumable mortgage and not have enough cash and use a second mortgage to cover the difference, they're still saving X amount of money per month through a 4.5% blended rate with the second mortgage. So it's a really, really powerful tool where buyers can still do assumptions even if they don't have all the cash needed to cover the equity.
Question here: is that still usually within the 30 to 60-day time frame of closing with that second loan?
The second trust closes, gets approved in about 10 days. In fact,
Nice.
Ryan said he can do them in under 10 days if we really needed to do it. So yes, the typical closing time for an assumable mortgage right now is about 45 days. Some are faster, some are a little bit longer, but generally speaking, 45 days is the closing timeline. So the second mortgage approval in 10 days, I mean, he waits and waits and waits. And he's like, okay, you guys have your lender approval for the assumption. Yep. Now we'll start the second mortgage. It takes him like a week to get it approved. So that's how fast and how efficient he is. And I've done a couple with him now. Truly, truly remarkable. Super easy, super efficient, very great communication. And frankly, I use him on my primary loans as well. He is frequently quoting a quarter to a half a point lower on new VA loans than any other lender I found nationwide that can offer. I mean, truly remarkable. So when Nora said, we work with a lender partner who's really good, we literally spent months canvassing every lender we could find nationwide, literally nationwide, and we interviewed dozens of
institutions, hundreds of loan officers,
and we found the number one lender we work with now for a reason. Customer service, phenomenal. Competitiveness, phenomenal. Ability to get loans approved in a timely manner, phenomenal. So check. So there's not many lenders. I think he's rated top 100 loan officers nationwide. He has literally, one of the most prestigious credentials, top 100 loan officers nationwide. So really, really great lender. We're happy to introduce you. We think that most agents will find him to be exceedingly qualified to support, whether it's a new loan or a second mortgage. And like we said, any agent who brings a buyer to get a pre-approval with him will get 1 free month of AssumeList.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. So now let's dive into our process, which actually involves some pre-approval action. So let's talk about it. So first and foremost, you've gone out to your network. You've invited them to a webinar with you, the starring agent, and Nora Simpson, the head of education, talking all about how great you are, right, at knowing about assumptions, right? And now you've got a couple people raising their hand and saying, I'm interested. Like, I didn't think I could afford to buy a house in this market, but gee, we would love to move. We've been talking about moving and waiting for interest rates to go down. Perfect. Okay. So let's say you have your first 3-4 folks raise their hands. So the first thing you want to do is you want to sit down with them and you want to explain how a buyer agreement works, right? Because you got to get that buyer agreement signed. That NAR lawsuit from 2024, not going away. As soon as they've signed that buyer agreement, you're going to give them their free AssumeList buyer sub account, right? Which is going to help them run their own searches on the platform, and you can see everything they do. So this immediately speeds up an extraordinary amount of the process, because first of all, they're not just looking to you for guidance sort of in a theoretical way. You're actually mentoring them on how to use the platform. And if you need mentoring on how to use the platform so that you know how to tell other people how to use the platform, that's why we have daily training, right? So I'll make sure that you know how to teach them how to use it. And then you'll help them run searches. It's pretty intuitive. They'll probably figure out quite a bit, but you'll be able to give them the best tips and the best tricks on our cash gap filters and our monthly mortgage payment filters and our VA versus FHA filters. These are filters that don't exist on any other website in the world because they're so unique to Assumptions and AssumeList, right? So people will be, running their searches. You'll see every search they run. You'll see every property they favorite. You'll see every comment they write. Don't worry, Mary Ellen. We will talk about Assumable loans, don't worry. But the other thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get them pre-approved. So right around the same time they're signing their buyer agreement with you, you need to have that tough talk with them where you say, Assumptions are famous for taking a really long time. We don't want yours to take a long time. So we're going to do everything we can to prepare so that you are in the best possible position to be ready to pull triggers and move quickly with the Assumption. So you're going to get them pre-approved for a full mortgage. Even though it's going to be, a full mortgage at today's rate, they're going to say, but I don't want to spend $8,000 a month on a mortgage monthly payment. And the issue is not that they want to, it's that they have to show financial strength, okay? Because that's going to help speed up the credit worthiness assessment when they're actually going through the Assumption process itself. So you'll say to them, if you can get pre-approved, I know it's more money than you want to spend, but if you have the financial capacity to get pre-approved for $6,000 a month or $8,000 a month on a this size home or a this price home or whatever, that's a very important ingredient in moving your credit worthiness through quickly and in communicating to the listing agent and the seller that you have the financial strength to get to the finish line for this Assumption credit worthiness assessment. Because as much as the banks like to pull a lot of shenanigans in terms of making assumptions hard, the only legal reason that they can reject an assumption is credit worthiness issues. So we have to show financial strength. So you get those buyers pre-approved for a full mortgage. And of course, if you get them pre-approved with Ryan, you get a free month of AssumeList, just saying. If you were to get them pre-approved with Ryan or a lender that does both first and seconds on assumptions, and very few lenders offer second mortgages on assumptions, that's the other thing. So we had to search high and low for the few lenders that did. But if you were to get them pre-approved with one of those lenders, we recommend Ryan, you're going to get them pre-approved for the primary, but also run some numbers on what they can handle for the secondary. That's going to help them in their choice situation. Now, the next phase is one of the phases where folks lose the most time. And the next phase is actually going out into the marketplace. Your buyer has identified the assumable properties that they like. And now it's time for you to actually talk to the agents and get them educated about assumptions. Because remember, more than 50% of the listing agents representing assumable properties don't even know that the property they're representing is assumable. So how are we going to speed that process up for you? Well, first of all, we have scripts for you in the Learning Center. That's part of your subscription. We have fact sheets and videos that you can send. Everything in our Learning Center is downloadable and shareable. So you can send everything that we have written. You can send it to the listing agents and say, hey, I want you to read this assumption fact sheet. Hey, I want you to watch this video about how great assumptions are for sellers, right? Because the listing agent has to get comfortable with the notion that you, as the buyer's agent, are going to be leading this process. So then you're getting out there, you're negotiating and educating listing agents, and at a certain point, a listing agent will say, wow, you really can get this closed in 60 days? And you'll say, well, yes, we have a transaction management team that knows, and here's what the transaction management team knows. They know all of the specific processes and how different they are at every single bank. So you're going to call us at AssumeList and you're going to say, okay, I checked with a listing agent that's willing to entertain this and willing to, talk to my buyer, and the servicer is Truist, or the servicer is Carrington, or the servicer is Freedom Mortgage, or the servicer is PennyMac. And we're going to say to you, oh, we know those people because we know all the servicers. And we're going to tell you, here's what you need to estimate so that you're managing expectations, right? And then if you decide that you want to use our transaction management team, which is a separate fee from the subscription, it's a fee that is charged at closing. You pay $100 up front and then $1,800 at closing. So you only pay if it succeeds. It's usually paid for by the buyer. Occasionally it's split between the buyer and the seller. We'll talk to our transaction management experts on that team and we'll say, okay, what do we expect is going to happen with this particular institution? And they'll give us an estimate. We'll give you the estimate. And then if you decide to use our transaction management team will do the following. Number one, they will call the actual decision makers at the institution who they have built long-standing collaborative relationships with. I want you to understand something. If you try to do this on your own and you just call customer service or you just call a regional bank manager, you will very easily get caught in circles of bureaucracy for weeks, if not months, because the banks make it a policy to not reveal who the right decision makers are. We know all of those decision makers. So assuming you engage with our transaction management team, we will call those decision makers. We will get your file moving and grooving. Now, that being said, the other magic here is not just knowing the decision makers. There's two more pieces to this that are really important. The second piece is that all of the paperwork has to be airtight, because the banks love to exploit a very particular loophole where if they find one mistake on the paperwork, they will kick the whole file back and say, we're restarting our 45-day legal requirement for closing. So that's why our transaction management team doesn't just call the bank, start the talks with the servicer. They also work with both the seller and the buyer to make sure that their paperwork is airtight with zero mistakes. Zero. So they get that paperwork all assembled into zero mistake land, and then they get it over to the correct person. And just that piece could save you anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Just so you understand, when I have people calling me, because people call me every day, Nora, I'm not a subscriber, but I heard about you guys, and I've been waiting for Freedom Mortgage to assign a processor for 60 days, meaning they haven't even talked to the decision maker yet, right? That 45-day clock hasn't even begun, and they're 60 days in, and they're tearing their hair out, and they call every day, and they don't know what to do, right? So we are immediately going to take that miserable, purgatory of bureaucracy and take it off your plate and get the paperwork airtight to the correct person. Once that paperwork is airtight and to the correct person, guess what it takes to actually get them to look at it and make a decision? It takes daily positive pressure. We have to email, call, and send a passenger pigeon every single day. That's a joke. We don't really have passenger pigeons. We just have bulldogs and elephants. The loophole. There's so many loopholes, Jesse. One of the loopholes is that if they find one mistake with the paperwork, they can kick it back to you and they can make you restart your 45-day day count. So we want to make sure your paperwork is airtight, right? The banks
let me jump in there as well, because I see this a lot. That's a really good question that Jesse asked, is like, what are the hiccups? I mean, a lot of agents particularly have heard or have personally experienced challenges working with servicers in getting an assumption approved. And in most cases, we as agents think, well, we're waiting on the servicer, right? And it's a servicer's fault why there's a delay. But in reality, it's actually the opposite. When we as agents work with a lender to take out a new loan, right, for our client, we introduce our clients to a lender, our personal lender, someone we have a relationship with. That lender kind of handles the whole transaction, right? Get the appraisal ordered, loan application submitted. You get notified along the way, once the loan has been approved and has gone through underwriting, right? The lender handles it all. With assumptions, it's actually the reverse. The agent has to handle it all, right? Or the transaction management company, which is why Nora spent so much time talking about the power of what that brings, is because what happens is you as an agent have to kind of track and monitor the approval every step of the way, to include when a document is requested to be signed, a VA form or verification of employment or updated bank statements or something that's requested by the lender. If the buyer, your client, submits those to the lender, you as the agent need to follow up immediately afterward and verify, hey, I need verification that you actually received that document. Because what will happen is if you're not on top of it, again, with loopholes, 2 weeks will go by and you're like, well, what's going on? And then all of a sudden your client will get another email from the lender. Hey, we need these bank statements. We never got these bank statements. And you're like, what do you mean? I sent them to you 2 weeks ago. Well, we don't have them. So you have to resend it, right? And you're like, what the heck? So that is kind of the name of the game. Typically what happens is some lenders use like these generic bulk email accounts, and everybody with thousands of files and thousands of assumption applications are using the same bulk email account, and they get parsed out based on the subject line and the loan number. And sometimes they get routed to the right person and sometimes they don't. So it is very, very common for documents to be re-requested 2 weeks later. Well, if you don't, that same day that client sent it, if you followed up with the agent says, yes, they received it or no, they didn't, you can just shave 2 weeks off your approval timeline simply by just following up with the processor who's assigned the file, right? And that's your role, as the agent's role in the assumption is to ensure that when documents are submitted, they are received and processed. Also, check in with the other side. Usually lenders, you may be waiting, if you're the listing agent, you're waiting on the buyers for something. The buyer's thinking they're waiting on the listing agent for something. And so everyone's not sure who's responsible for the next step. So again, positive pressure that Nora just talked about is key with assumptions. Communication daily, or not daily necessarily, but several times per week, surely, with the servicer as well as the opposite agent you're working with, whether you're the buyer's agent or the listing agent, to ensure that everybody is working collaboratively and supporting the process along the way. And in doing so, you really can see, I've done assumptions in under 30 days. I've done assumptions in many cases. Most lenders are doing them now in under 45 days. And so these horror stories that you often hear or perhaps experienced in the past is many cases tied to simply just not maintaining positive pressure and not following up with the servicer along the way. And they're under no obligation to make any decisions quickly. So they're just waiting to hear from you and you're waiting to hear from them, right? So don't play the waiting game.
To be fair, I mean, it's not like there's any like school to go to, like other than our trainings, like there's really no place where this gets taught, right? Banks kind of love that you don't know what to do, right? They kind of love that, you know, you're waiting on them and you're looking bad to your seller or your buyer, right? They love that because they want you to give up, right? They want you to say, okay, we got to the finish line with that one, never again. Oh my God, that was the worst experience of my life, right? They want that so that you will take out these 6% mortgages, 6.5% mortgages, and they can get rid of these 2.5% mortgages where they lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in their mind, right? So what we want to do is we want to help train you for what it really takes to navigate their often intentionally disorganized processes, right? Often intentionally confusing processes, right? They are creating the intentional confusion. You do not have to buy their confusion. You know what it takes if you come to us for help. So either you come to us and be at our daily trainings every day, or just offload it, get the transaction management team to maintain that pressure for you. But either way, we are committed to making sure you do not fall for their bureaucratic loophole exploitation efforts to get you to give up on giving your buyers maybe the best real estate value that they can possibly achieve in today's market.
A couple of things I want to close out with. I know we're getting short on time. Is one, we are here literally as a service to you, to agents, right? We are built for agents and by agents. AssumeList is a veteran-owned company, right? We're designed to literally try to help agents grow and build their businesses. We don't charge a 1% fee. We don't, in fact, charge any fee for you to use the platform and support your clients. In fact, we give you free training when you provide, when you sign up for services, right? And we give you the ability to give your clients free access as well. So we try to literally give this out as cheaply and as inexpensively, right, as we can, with as much training as you need, as much one-on-one, hands-on approach to support you in your growth. We don't charge a 1% fee. We don't charge your buyers any fees, right? So we really truly are here to support you along the way. And we've done, I think I've done probably more assumptions than any agent in the country at this point. So I've seen just about every scenario. There is a lot to learn. We really can't cover the ins and outs of entitlements and how assumable mortgages work inside of a 30-minute window. But what we can offer is daily free training that you can join every day by literally going to post it on the chat right now. It's homes.assumelist.com/learn. It is run by Nora 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Please come to our class. It's no charge, no obligation to sign up. You just show up, ask your questions. Certainly, if you want to use this tool to grow your business, we think it's the most powerful tool in real estate, bar none, right now, hands down. Trust me when I say there is no shortage of buyers out there who want to buy a home with a 2.5% interest rate. Nobody's excited about 6.5% interest rates. The second they know that there is an opportunity and there's somebody who can help them buy a home with a sub 3% mortgage, you all of a sudden become a rock star. And there's people out there that will literally pay whatever you charge them. I personally charge a higher commission fee to clients who I help purchase a home with an assumed mortgage compared to buyers who don't do an assumption, because there's more time involved, there's more commitment, there's more training I had to go through, right? So all of those things stack up to me easily charging, and nobody even questions it, because they're saving so much money every month and every year on their interest. So the additional, small percentage that I charge for my compensation, they are happy to pay it. Absolutely happy to pay it. They never question it. So I think we're about to wrap up. Is there any final questions you see on the chat, Nora? Or any
I see
questions?
Rich has asked, if I get a buyer to get pre-approved, what is the first step? So Rich, I did talk about that earlier. So maybe you're joining us like after you just finished up a meeting or something. So once this live stream is posted, you can go back and watch it. But just very quickly, the next step after your buyer's pre-approved is make sure you've got them A, signed with a buyer agreement, B, signed up with an AssumeList sub account so they can start running searches, and
which
C,
you set up for them. You create that for them.
Which you create that for them within your agent subscription. You have the ability to assign free buyer sub accounts to multiple buyers. And then you're going to need to start calling listing agents of the homes that they select as, exciting, assumable homes, and then educating listing agents. And then once you have a listing agent who's ready to play ball, right, you're going to make an offer. There's assumption documents on our learning center that you can include in the offer. And then once you're actually under contract, that's when you have to start gathering paperwork from both the seller and the buyer for the servicer. And it's the servicer delays that make everybody afraid of assumptions. And we're here to tell you, you do not have to be afraid. We have held them accountable. We have reported bank after bank to the VA and the FHA. We are chopping through the jungles of bureaucracy, and we are here to support you every step of the way. And we have a transaction management team. You can actually pay to do it for you, or you can just come to training every day and get additional support from us on how to do it yourself. But either way, it takes quite a bit of effort, but once you've navigated it a couple times, it'll become much easier, much more understandable, and you can become the assumption king or the assumption queen of your local market. I want to remind you that if you go out and call every single person and say, I have a way to get you 3 or 4 or 4.5% mortgages in this market, do you know anyone who's looking? I want to remind you, 75% of homeowners in the United States of America have interest rates below 5% right now. 84% of people who want to move are waiting for rates to drop before they move. So there are people who are not telling you that they want to move because they are not willing to even talk to somebody. So if you're the person who brings them the news that there's a way that they can move and get a sub 5% interest rate, you are literally gold for them. So don't be shy, because if they find out a year from now that you knew about this and you didn't tell them, they're going to be mad at you.
All right. Thanks, Nora. Let's end on a positive note. We will be at the California
Reimagine Expo.
Reimagine Convention next month.
In San Diego.
September 15th.
September 16th and 17th are the days. 17th. We'll be there. We'll be at the San Diego Association of Realtors booth all day. Right? We're going to be on our feet, moving and grooving, dancing along, and teaching people about assumptions. The details of the daily training, Mark,
will be there, and we look forward to meeting you in person.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. I appreciate
it. Thanks, guys.
And the daily training for Mark Cairns, the daily training is homes.assumelist.com/learn. It's in the comments. every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. So come, it's free and open to the public. Come hang out with us on Zoom. Come see us at the expo in Chula Vista, California, and rock and roll.